Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is a great game actually. It's considered to be one of the coolest old RPGs out there, and to me it's definitely the coolest vampire game whatsoever. It's got everything. Cool setting, mood, good dialogues.
You're the health inspector. You know, at least the last health inspector had the decency to make it clear when he was asking for a bribe. Here's $50. I get to live the dream for another exciting month. Yay.
And I strongly recommend you to play it. Especially considering the fact that the long awaited sequel is coming, and it's probably gonna be as good as the first. You know, maybe not. Anyway, the game is a masterpiece, and I would easily recommend it to everyone if it weren't for the fact that it's fucking broken. Like, completely broken. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to shit on the game, but this one is one of those so-called flawed masterpieces. Its release was heavily rushed by the publisher. Thank you, Activision. Very good. Good job, Activision. So it's probably as broken as Cyberpunk 2077, but this time no one is going to take responsibility for it. Of course, except for dedicated fans, but it doesn't matter. And not everyone can manage through all the cringe this game has. Miss it out on such great story. And that's the place where we come into play, because tonight we're going to spoil the hell out of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's not important who you are, a nostalgic boomer that doesn't have time or nerve to replay it, or a zoomer that wants to whine about how great games used to be back in the day, without actually playing this old shit, because we've got you covered. We played the game, so you don't have to. So, before we begin the game, let us briefly explain the setting, okay? The series itself is based on a tabletop game called Vampire the Masquerade. So, it takes place in a universe called
World of Darkness.
Anyway, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, and what? Kaguya-sama again? Yeah, right here. Just be gone. Okay, this is much better. These 2D girls, they're so fond of me. Anyway, vampires and, of course, furries.
Bruh, look at this dude.
Sounds like a typical fantasy thing, yeah? Well, actually it doesn't, because this one is usually set in modern times. In this world, just like in the Bible, Cain did his brother in and was cursed for murdering him and lying to God. Except here he was cursed with vampirism.
Very good.
And so, the history of vampires began.
Come on, let's go.
So, in this universe, vampires form a kind of hidden society and try to blend in with humans. Vampires are sure powerful as fuck, but they can still be killed. Usually, it's the vampires who backstab each other, not human beings, but let's put it down, okay? So, this concept is called the Masquerade. Fellow vampires usually call each other
all kindred. Kindred, that's our word for vampire.
kindred. So, kindred themselves also have some kind of genetics, so they can be split into clans, and each clan is cursed and blessed in its own way. So people who were turned into a vampire by one of these cuties, they will look like, dungeon masters. As a result, they can't come out in the open and have to live in sewers. And there are Malkavians. They are cursed with a severe schizophrenia. Just look at them. That is why they hear voices, they can talk with metaphors. Hey you, Israel is a legitimate state. And they can talk with road signs. Okay, that should be enough for now.
Let us commence forth.
Vamper.
Okay, let's pick the character. Let it be Toredo. And then we pick the gender. There are only 2 of them though, like you know, in real life. And we present you E. Our Toredo is kinda good with a gun and he has his own way with people due to his clan's charisma. Let's look at what we picked. The game begins in a shabby hotel. But wait a minute, E has sinned gravely. He tried to engage into an heinous act of premarital sexual intercourse with a female. Ew, we do not approve this. Who turned out to be a Toredo vampire. For reasons unknown, she embraced him. And no, not like this. In this game, to be embraced means that a vampire sucks you dry. And no, not like this. It means a vampire literally sucks all your blood out, and you die. And this vampire pours some of their own blood inside you. And you become a vampire. And the vampire who embraces you is now your sire. Alright, a course of vampiric sex education is over. Now let's go back to where we stopped.
Stick your finger in my ass.
E wakes up after just being embraced and suddenly a vampire FBI squad breaks down the door and stabs both of them with wooden stakes. By the way, just look at this hotel. We wake up on a scene where some fancy dude tells a speech. Turns out embracing vampires has to be arranged with the higher-ups. You know, with those who are calling the shots. And you're basically something like an illegal immigrant. And why is he local Trump? Well, just take a look. We're just about to be killed and something or someone changed his mind.
Therefore, I have decided that this is bullshit! I have decided to let this kindred live.
Okay, now let us explain a little detail about the vampire society. And despite the fact vampires pull many of the strings in human society, there are not many of them in towns. And this stuff is usually strictly controlled to maintain the masquerade properly. Since vampires have enjoyed backstabbing each other throughout the entire history, they're really paranoid, scattered, and not so communicative.
You it's a female virginity blood shield activated.
But they are still a society. So usually vampire princes arrange meetings occasionally to discuss some important matters with fellow kindred, and so on. This particular meeting was dedicated to your illegal embrace. And after this we met a guy whose name is Smiling Jack. He's actually kind of a fan service character from the tabletop. He offers to show us the ropes, explains some fundamental aspects of the game, like stealth,
Snake, what's wrong? Snake! Snake!
combat, and our first feeding.
About to try my smoothie. Very good.
Then we witness a Sabbath attack. We'll tell about these degenerates later, by the way. And probably the funniest combat cutscene I've ever seen in a game.
Heads up. Back away.
After this, we come to a crib in Santa Monica that LaCroix gave us. Now, this is our home. As for computers, it's not that generic Bethesda computer mechanics. It's a bit deeper. So, we get a password and look what we can do. So here you just literally typing on your keyboard and that's all. So we logged into our computer, checked our emails and left. One of the emails said that our goal was to meet a dude called Mercurio and ask him about some shit. Outside, he sucked off a homeless guy and saw some dude bleeding communist squares crawl into a house. That turned out to be our guy. He was supposed to buy a bomb from some gangsters and some shit, but ended up being beaten up and robbed. So, of course, solving this matter was up to E. By the way, Mercurio said that he was a LaCroix's ghoul, but we'll speak about it later, okay? He also asked to get some painkillers for him, because being half dead, kinda hurt. Yeah, even for a ghoul. These dudes hang out at a house near the beach. Not so luxurious, yeah, more like this. And so to the beach we go. On the beach we met some cringy hobos who thought Eve was going to chase them away. The hobos turn out to be another generation. Or more like degeneration. Got it, yeah? Of the vampire curse, these were thin-blooded. Well, to explain what thin-blooded are, we have to take a small peek at the vampiric family tree, so to speak. Yeah, here it is. You see, there are several generations of vampires. So, the first generation is Cain himself. Cain embraced 3 people, so they became the second generation. The second generation vampires embrace become the third generation, and so on. Legends say that there were only 13 vampires of the third generation. Each represented the 13 clans that exist in the universe. They were called antediluvians. Each newer generation is weaker than their sires. Some say that it's a natural order of things, but others believe that it's a curse made by Cain himself, after the second generation was killed by their rebellious children. As of now, there are 16 generations of vampires in the world of darkness. Thin-blooded usually belong to 14th, 15th and 16th generations. They don't naturally have any clan-related disciplines and features, and they're generally weaker than older vampires. They also are a sign of a vampiric apocalypse prophecy. Most vampires hate them for being walking bad omens. Thin-blooded, of course, have some benefits too, but these are not present in the game, so we're not going to cover it. Otherwise, this video will never come out. But you can look it up yourself, if you're interested. By the way, this is what we're going to be in Bloodlines 2. One of them asked us to find his girlfriend, who embraced him. His name was E2. Totally a coincidence, So we go up the stairs and find the house those bandits were hanging out at. We try to seduce the muscular dude in the entrance.
Dude, just go in. Ugh.
And he lets us in. This was only one way to do it, but actually this quest is rather versatile. We tried to settle this like gentlemen, but the owner of the house wasn't so enthusiastic about it.
I will fuck you and your whole family, including that squirrel in your front yard. Now that we know the terms, what can I do to make you walk out feeling like you just flew first class with a cheerleader in your lap?
So we had to kind of resort to force. And by kind of, I mean we massacred the whole fucking house. Got the astrolabe, loaded everything we could and found the money. After this, we checked out the piers, but it was locked up because of some gruesome murder. So we went back to our guy Mercurio. Mercurio was still dying. but he was really pleased by the news of Gangsta's tragic demise.
Yeah? Did you waste those sons of bitches? Good. Great. Hope it was painful. Did you get my...
Mercurio told us that now that we have the bomb, we gotta blow up the second warehouse. But we can't just march through the front door. It's too dangerous, you know. So we gotta find a way to infiltrate it. And the only guy who can help us with this is Bertram Tom. Yeah, this guy. But he has a conflict with the local prince. So I guess it's better off we're talking about this later. So for now on, we could just say goodbye to each other. By the way, our statistics shows that we have no subscribers whatsoever. Just see that, right? And you can subscribe, you cannot, just really don't care.